Man, oh man. All right, so for 2 consecutive games, the Warriors have failed to score 100 points. 90 points is a season low. They're
Yes.
looking for shooting.
Yep.
They're looking for scoring. They had some scoring droughts in this one. I mean, just looking at the percentages in this game, 39%, 28% from three. They had a 15-point quarter, an 18-point quarter. I promise I'm not just going to read numbers off the box score, but we need to understand these numbers
Yes.
because they show a problem here. And I think this is connected to the team's health and trying to find combinations, and they just don't have the spacing.
Yeah, there are a lot of factors here, but the Timberwolves, the first month of the season they were hibernating. They couldn't get anything right. They were like they couldn't shoot, they couldn't defend, and last year they were top defense in the league. They look like that again.
Uh-oh. So the Warriors ran into a buzzsaw tonight.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards went off on his team last week, and since then, the Warriors have held the Timberwolves have held their next 4 opponents to 92, 80, 80, and tonight 90.
Okay.
That defense is nasty, and it's the 5th straight time they beat the Warriors because they beat them 4 times last year. So I'm going to say this. This is the team that the Warriors, should they make the playoffs?
They don't want to face it.
This is not a team you really are eager to face.
Okay.
Because their defense is just, it's so problematic for other teams. And they seem that once they turn the defense on, they seem to enjoy just strangling people, And tonight, I mean, when Steph was on the court, he was trying his best, but he's hurting. 6 of 17 from the field for him. And when he was off the court, oh my goodness, the offense was just, there was nothing there. And so, yeah, they're hurt. A lot of guys are hurting. I mean, Moses left early.
Wiggins left early.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, Draymond, he's not healthy, but he played anyway. Steph. So you've got a bunch of guys trying to play through stuff against a team that is like, let me torture you, poor souls.
Yeah.
And that's how it looked tonight.
Okay, so I checked this. I was wondering if the Timberwolves had the longest win streak in the West. They don't. The Mavericks do, actually,
Yes.
with 6 straight.
Yep.
But yeah, as Monte was saying, it looks like the Warriors ran into a buzzsaw. The fourth consecutive game for the Wolves, holding an opponent to 95 points or less. They had the massive win over the Lakers, 28 points.
28 over the Lakers,
And
29
27 over the
29
Clips.
over the one LA team, 28 over the other.
Yeah, we're talking about an outright pummeling,
yes.
though. And then when the Warriors got it close, they hurt themselves with turnovers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
another story we've been talking about this season.
Yeah, and that's a combination of things. The Warriors are turnover prone anyway lately, and the Timberwolves defense makes you a little crazy. So when you get a little crazy, you lose your composure a little bit, and you start throwing passes. Some of the passes we saw were just like, whoa.
What are you doing? And this was on the heels of Steve Kerr saying the team needs better decision making.
Yes.
And you see the same mistakes again.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of the turnovers were unforced, and Steve Kerr pointed that out in his post-game presser, saying that, I'm going to look at the turnovers. I'm going to look at them, study them. He said, I think a lot of them were unforced, and he's right. A lot of them were just passes to nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, it's not like they were like showboaty passes. They were just passes to, the guys over here, I'm going to pass it over there. And that's an issue.
All right, let's talk about some of those injuries as well, because Andrew Wiggins left this game in the third quarter with the ankle injury. Moses Moody left with a sore knee. Now, Wiggins, for the past 2 games, I would say, he's been bothered by the ankle. Even Steve Kerr saying last night in the first game of the back-to-back, he might not have played Wiggins, if Steph and Draymond weren't out. So we saw Wiggins panting up and down the floor in that last game, too, giving it his all to help out Jonathan Kuminga. This game just didn't have it. It was too much on his ankle. That's the one?
Yep.
That's the one where you saw him pull up?
Right there.
Oh,
you can see him. He
okay.
off.
Yep.
He's
okay.
Done. He's done.
All right, there you go. So as the Warriors are searching for something, as they're looking for these combinations, suddenly you don't have a starter, and then suddenly you don't have Moses Moody as well. There was also the wrinkle of Draymond Green coming off the bench in this game, and they decided to do that. So Jonathan Kuminga, they said maximize Jonathan Kuminga after he was coming off of that career-high night, 33 points in 33 minutes against Houston. This is interesting because Steve Kerr indicated this might not be a one-game thing. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, right now, the Warriors, having lost 6 of 7 now, he and Steph are searching for anything that might possibly, conceivably, maybe work. And the idea of playing J.K. and Draymond together gives them something to look at. And whether it's a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 game experiment, we'll see. But I suspect that, if it doesn't work in the next few games, then they'll try something else.
Sure.
Right now, they're in scramble mode. I know Mike Dunleavy is, on his phone and trying to figure out some things because he can already see that, a lot of this is like the domino effect from DeAnthony Melton's departure. When he went down, everything changes, and now you got other guys hobbling around, so the rotations are a mess right now. And to be able to try Draymond and JK together gives you, and JK gives you a dynamic athlete. And Draymond gives you, well, you know what he gives you, playmaking, defense, all that. But Draymond's like 80% of himself right now.
Yeah.
And Steph is probably the same, So right now, their two decorated veteran players are playing wounded, and it shows. And the other guys simply don't have what it takes to beat a team like this team. They can probably beat them. They beat Houston. Wiggins was good. JK was great. But against a team like this, the way the Timberwolves are playing right now, you got to be a really, really good team to be able to play against that defense and be even semi-effective against those guys.
All right, this move, Draymond coming off the bench, also gives him a little bit more runway because we know he's not 100%. Why don't we hear exactly what Steve Kerr said to see if we can have some hints about what might be coming down the road? Take a listen.
I want to look at it. I mean, we're trying to maximize Jonathan. Playing him with Wiggs, playing Loon to start with that group, means that Draymond doesn't have to guard the opposing center right from the get-go, which I think is important. Then we can, close with Draymond at the 5. So in theory, I like what it looks like, but we have to play better and we have to make better decisions.
If Draymond is going to come off the bench, which he hasn't done a lot in his career, just spots like that, he's been one of the biggest supporters of Jonathan Kuminga, always hyping him up. So if this is an opportunity to maximize JK, as Steve Kerr put it, would Draymond be happy about this? Is there an element of sacrifice here to help the young player?
Well, it's also, and I think Steve hinted at this too, it's also to try and help the second unit. Right now with Podziemski starting with Steph, that means you got two playmakers out there to start the game, at least theoretically, and now that means his minutes to be able to save him a little bit for the second unit. That's Draymond going to take up some of the minutes that might have gone to BP if BP weren't starting. So it's to help the offense in terms of playmaking, and it's also to help JK and keep JK going on the other end. So, again, I'm not ready to buy into this move.
Okay.
But I think it's worth a shot because what do they have to lose right now?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I would imagine Draymond spoke about this post-game. Why don't we hear from Draymond Green?
That he's going to experiment with having you, kind of run that second team again. You've done it before, and any adjustments, and how do you feel also physically after?
I felt great physically. Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. Just it's a group of bunch of different guys. So it's an adjustment. Have to figure it out, but I'm up for it.
Sounds like you were part of the decision-making process to, I guess, go to this. What's the rationale behind it?
Coach just called and asked me. He said it's something he was thinking about, and he wanted to know if I was okay with it. And of course, I'm okay with it. I have been one of JK's biggest fans since he's been here. And so if he has an opportunity to start, you can't be hypocritical. And they're like, yo, we want him to start, but it'll be for you. And you can't be like, it's not for me. Like, that don't work. Like, I'm a fan of his. I want to see him do well. So if his opportunity goes through me, then it is what it is. That's his opportunity, and he earned the opportunity. So that's kind of how I view it. So that was kind of my rationale. He played extremely well last night. You want to give that another look, or 2 or 3 or 4, or however long. If it works, then you continue with it. And so, yeah, that's kind of my rationale for me. I am a product of my vet being willing to take a back seat for me. So you got to give back what came to you. That's That's what this is about.
I mean, you termed it as a backseat. I mean, do you view that as that's what you're doing? I mean, you're obviously still going to run the second unit. He seemed to think that you're closing most halves probably at center.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure I'll close most halves. But not starting is not starting, you know. You're taking on a different role. And so, yeah, I don't necessarily look at it as like this demotion. You know, I'm a starter in the NBA. I know that, you know. So I don't look at it like that. But, you know, if it's something to try to help this team win, I'm always going to be for it, you know. I hate losing. So if you got something that's going to help us win, you're not going to get an argument from me. And as I've always said, I care about this organization. And I know a lot of people in this organization, including myself, think he's next. And so if he's next, at some point we got to see it. And for him to do that, he needs the opportunity. And like I said, if the opportunity falls on you, being me, then that's what it is, and you got to figure it out. And so he's earned the right to get that opportunity. And when I come back here in 10 years and I'm even more great than I am now, I want to see this franchise thrive in. So if he's the guy that's going to do that, which I think he's more than capable of, great. It's perfect.
This might be
Some massive comments there from Draymond Green. I mean, that feels like this could be something very important for the course of the season. Jonathan Kuminga in his 4th year. What did Draymond say? He's next. At some point, we got to see it.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's an experiment, and if it works, Steve will stick with it. If it doesn't work, he got to just abandon that thing, you know, and try something else. But he's right about the fact that the Warriors drafted Jonathan Kuminga to be a cornerstone, and he's into his 4th year, and they have not established that he is that. And that is why he did not get an extension.
Yeah.
And so this is his last year on his rookie contract. See what he has to offer and rise and fall with it. And if you rise, then you pay the man. If you fall, then you say, you know what, it didn't work out. But give him a chance.
Yeah.
Give him a chance. And what you saw last night against the Rockets, you're thinking, okay, that's a dude. But you thought tonight was a little tougher, you know, and it's going to be tougher against a lot of teams. But I think that's where they are with J.K. And Draymond obviously wants him because he's a big fan.
Yeah.
He wants J.K. to succeed. They all do. But, you know, J.K. has to also take it upon himself. And so there will be nights when he's looking like a billionaire. And there's going to be nights when he looks like he could use $1 or $2.
Okay.
You know, so,
Yeah, okay.
and you're seeing that.
There you go. So the Warriors searching for answers right now. They've lost 6 out of their last 7 and trying to find some kind of combination, and seeing a little sacrifice there from the vets on this team. All right, when we come back on Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World, we need to see Anthony Edwards' highlight reel. He had himself a game.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for the year-end clearance sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
Yeah, we've got a question. Hi, everybody on YouTube. Thank you for
Hey.
tuning in. Andas wants to say, Monte, is there anyone at Santa Cruz that the Warriors might call up if Moody and Wiggs are out for a while? Will we see Quentin Post, Kevin Knox? To be determined if they're out for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key. You know, if somebody's out for a game or two, it's possible. I mean, the Warriors still like Kevin Knox, and he's a wing. He can score a little bit. He's in their back pocket. Quentin Post has been back and forth. He's been with the Warriors some, Golden State Warriors, and also with Santa Cruz Warriors. But Quentin's a different, I mean, he's a project still. He's 7 feet, he can shoot the 3, but they want to be slow with him. They don't want to do to him what they did to James Wiseman.
For some reason, Alan Smiley-Geach just popped into my head.
Oh,
About a-
Smiley, not Smiley. Smiley.
When was the last time you guys thought of Smiley? I wonder what he's up to.
He was playing over in Europe.
Good for him.
He was playing, yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
playing.
and listen, speaking of Wiggins, this thought also popped into my head. Because he hasn't been right for a few games, and he suited up. He played in this back-to-back, you know.
Yeah,
kudos
and
to-
he was good last night.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the Warriors have tomorrow off, but they are looking at 3 games in 4 nights.
Yep.
could there be a chance that Wiggins sits the next game? And
Absolutely.
he's so important to what they need to do,
Yeah.
especially the two-way effort. That would be a loss for the Warriors. But you have to help a guy get right. If you keep
Yes.
playing on an ankle,
Yeah.
it never gets right.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good enough last night to where they thought maybe he can play through it. And then tonight,
Yeah.
you know, he started off, but he still had, what did he have, 11 points in 19 minutes? So he wasn't terrible, but you could see he wasn't moving.
Yes, when we went down into the locker room to, stand around in a new location, we saw Andrew Wiggins leave carrying a bag of ice.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hobbled. He needs a little bit of a
Absolutely.
break. Welcome back to Dubstock, brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Anthony Edwards is one of the best players in the league, only 23 years old, but starting to step into that leadership role. He's hard to guard, period. The Warriors put pods on him a little bit, then GP2 was trying to be his shadow a little bit. It's also a team effort, but still, he got his buckets tonight.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, and we were going to talk about him in the pregame, and I queued up this quote from Anthony about Steph, and I had it already, and we didn't talk.
Tell me.
So
What is
he
it?
was talking to Rachel Nichols, who works for now, working for the All the Smoke Productions, and she was asked about, you played with all these stars in the Olympics. You got KD, your favorite player, you got LeBron, you've got Tatum, you've got Bam, you got all these guys, and he said, who was the guy who you followed watched the most closely? He said, I'd say Steph.
Okay.
Playing without the ball, running around, cutting, setting screens, getting guys open. Steph did it for the whole Olympics. I definitely try to mimic that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to blame Steph for Anthony being
Okay, so we just talked a little bit about Draymond wanting to pass the baton to JK, Steph influencing the younger guys too, who are extremely smart to take a look at him. You
Yes.
need to study Steph if you want to be a guard in this league.
And also, you may remember we had Steph on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he was asked who would be the guy that he thinks can threaten his all-time three-point record, and he said Ant. And people thought, really, Ant? Well, Ant happens to lead the league in three-point makes this year.
Yeah.
And he is shooting them at a higher percentage than Steph is this year. So, and he's 23. He came into the night with 883 triples in his career. Steph got to that number when he was 26.
Okay.
So he's 2 or 3 years ahead of Steph's pace. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get there.
Right.
But I'm saying people see Anthony Edwards as high-flying guy because he can do that too. But he's got a nice three-point game now, and he's using it.
He's one of the most exciting people
Oh,
in the
my
league.
God,
And he
yeah.
left
Yeah.
this game. Here's one of the images of him leaving this game. You saw the video a moment ago. Talking his stuff, okay, building that kind of lead, letting the Chase Center crowd hear it.
Yep.
They come and get the 17-point win at Chase Center,
Yep.
and they know that they're going to be back on Sunday.
Yep.
Okay, riding a 4-game win streak. I mean, the Minnesota team has to be feeling very, very good. Ant has to be feeling very, very good. Is there anything the Warriors can do to make okay, Monte's get the eyebrows going. Well, and here's the point. I mean, when you look at how top-heavy Minnesota is.
Yeah.
Like, they get so much
Right.
from their starting five. The Minnesota bench only scored 21 points tonight, but that's all they
Yeah.
needed. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is a nice starting five right there. And this is after changes came to the team because they traded Cat.
Yeah, they traded Cat. They bring in Julius Randle. It's a little different team now. But the guys, the approach is the same, and that is that Jaden McDaniels is an elite defender. Rudy Gobert can be had on defense, but as a rim protector, he's more of a deterrent because he say, I don't want to go in there, And if you challenge him, I think you can take him sometimes. But most teams kind of shy away from him. But you look at Rudy in there, and there was one play tonight where Draymond shed Rudy and went in for a dunk, and Naz Reid was waiting for him.
Okay.
And Naz Reid sent it away.
Yeah.
So once they decide to play defense, which they've done the last 4 games, they are nasty. And, I mean, they went into this game. The last 3 games, their defensive rating was 86.6.
Okay.
That's unheard of. The number 2 team in that span was 105 or something like that. So it's just crazy how well they're playing defense right now. And that's why going into this game, I was like, this is going to be a tough one tonight.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough again Sunday.
Yeah, we need to check the injury report heading into Sunday's game. So we were talking about in this show how the Warriors need some shooting that correlates with their injuries lately right now. That means you've got Lindy Waters playing more minutes. That means you've got Buddy playing with different guys in that second unit. Let's talk about Lindy first, because I need to mention he had DMPs versus Houston, and Denver. And suddenly, because of the injuries, he needs to play more minutes. Games before that, he was 1 of 7, 1 of 3. So he's in a situation where what kind of minutes is he going to get? What kind of rhythm is he going to have?
Yeah.
Are you seeing that affecting his shot? Because they have to throw him into this kind of game. That's what the situation dictated.
Well, Lindy was playing, when Steve was going with that 13-man rotation, Lindy was playing. And for the first 8, 10 games, maybe 12 games, he was shooting threes at about a 40% clip or better. They had 6 or 7 guys shooting 40% from three, and he was one of them. But since Lindy went into the starting lineup, that was 8, 9 games ago now, his shooting numbers are way down now. And so he was 2 of 7 tonight from three. And I think for the last 8 or 9 games, he's probably shooting somewhere between 20 and 25% from three. And that's just not going to cut it. So he was shooting at 40+%. Now he's probably low 30s, high 20s.
Yeah,
and you can't work with that.
It just feels like a sticky situation for him too. I'm sure he wants to be a better
Absolutely.
shooter, but it's
That's
really
why they brought him in, because he could shoot.
Yes, it's really hard to develop your rhythm in that. So Buddy Hield as well. Looking at his last 3 games, 2 of 8 from the field, 1 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 tonight. Buddy is. Do I say slumping? Because you look at his percentage and it's still above 40%.
Yes.
But that's because he was such a flamethrower at the start of the season. When you look at Buddy, is he kind of a barometer of what the offense is doing? Not enough space out there, or is it the shots he's taking?
No, I think Buddy is pretty good with his shots taken. I mean, he's not taking a bunch of contested shots. When he's contested, he gets rid of the ball. But he's at his best when he can catch and shoot. The problem is that it's getting harder for him to find space to do that. Teams are trailing him, even holding him, when he starts running around like Clay used to do. And by the time he gets the ball and is ready to shoot, somebody's there.
Yeah.
And when that happens, he gets rid of the ball. To his credit, he doesn't say, I'm shooting it anyway. He gets rid of the ball. And so I think that's why Steve wants to play Buddy as much as he can with Steph, because, Steph will take away some of that pressure.
Yes.
But, right now Steph is hurting. And so when Steph is resting, he has to have Buddy out there because Buddy is the three-point threat. And right now, Buddy's having a hard time exploiting those opportunities.
All right, so the Warriors 13-9 right now, trying to find some answers, and they're going to face the same opponent this weekend. Let's take a look at the schedule. We'll also take a look at what's coming up in the Emirates Cup. We're going to see I was thinking if it was Ant going to hug Steph. That's not that video, but we'll see you again Saturday, Ant. Oh my goodness, people are in their feelings tonight, guys. Hey, look, I get it. I get it. I don't know that we need to say trash.
Oh!
Okay.
Well, keep in mind that
Oh my goodness.
the Warriors lost by 17. The Lakers lost by 29, I think, and the Clippers by 28. So, the Warriors, they showed a little bit.
17? That's how Steve Kerr should lead his rah-rah speech to the guys. Hey, you only lost by 17 at Chase Center.
That would go over really well.
Yikes. Well, and I think the vets on the team, or anybody on the team, would tell you, you just don't want to get in the habit of losing.
No.
And the habit of losing the same way. Turnovers. Again. Hey, the free throws have gotten better. They've gotten better. This is actually the highest free throw percentage they've had as a team this season, this game.
Yeah, I want to stress this too. And again, Minnesota as a matchup is a matchup nightmare for the Warriors. I mean, if you're the Warriors and you look at matchups only, you'd rather play Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Even Denver. I know they got Jokic, but yeah. And they had trouble beating Denver lately. But Minnesota is the length they have and the way they play defense. The Warriors had 21 turnovers tonight. For them, that's like, what are we doing? Yeah. And they had 22 turnovers. So they had more turnovers than assists.
Yeah.
And that is not,
that's not a winning recipe at all.
There you go. So,
Nope.
If you're the Warriors, give me OKC, give me Denver, give me Dallas, give me Phoenix. I think all those teams are better matchups for the Warriors to face than this team.
We are back on Dubs Talk. So again, the Warriors looking at their third game in 4 nights. They beat the Rockets. I guess I'm looking back. They lost to Minnesota. They're going to face Minnesota again in an early game on Sunday. Coverage begins here on NBC Sports Bay Area at 4:30. Then they see the Rockets. It kind of feels like deja vu. You're seeing the same opponents here. And then TBD, what happens Saturday and Tuesday for the Emirates Cup Championship in Vegas. And then you can see, is that Minnesota on the schedule again?
21st.
Get him off. All right, listen,
Yeah.
just get him out of the way, I guess.
Ideally, you wanted to play the Timberwolves like last month when they were like reeling.
Yeah.
They weren't like messing around. But no, they get them when they was rolling. It's
Yes.
like, oh boy.
I don't know, 3 times in like 3 weeks? Okay, I don't know if the Warriors like that. But tough cookies.
I mean, the
This is the NBA.
Trailblazers beat Minnesota last month. That's how bad they were.
Well, that's why Ant needed that speech, right? Let's get
Yeah,
it together,
true.
guys.
That's
so,
true.
All right,
That's
as
true.
you look ahead to this Emirates Cup, the Warriors were talking about when they had their winning streak going, hey, we want that money. There you go. But it is something to play for. It is something to shake up the season a little bit. And you can see a little bit more, some gaps in between the games where the guys can theoretically rest up a little bit.
Well, every NBA player wants to win every time he steps on the floor.
Of course.
No matter the game, I mean, preseason games, maybe that's the example. That's not an example. But regular season games and postseason games, they want to win. I mean, it's just not in their heart to, like, let's go out there and lose. So just because these games are Emirates Cups games, NBA Cup games, what do you want to call them, they still want to win those games, not necessarily because it's the Cup, because it's a game. That matters. It counts. And so when you look at them right now, though, their health situation, they were pretty healthy relative to the most teams in the Western Conference a few weeks ago. Everybody else was hurt, and the Warriors were pretty good, and now it's flipped.
Yeah.
Dallas is healthy, and they're rolling. Minnesota's pretty healthy all along. They're rolling. And the Warriors are trying to find something while they're fighting injuries, and it's so hard to do, especially when you're playing a team like Minnesota and even Houston last night. Houston's a good team. They're pretty healthy. So this is a tough stretch for the Warriors. We knew that coming into this part of the schedule. We looked at December and said, oh, my goodness, December's going to be a beast for this team. And if they can come out of this month and still be a few big games over 500, I think they can reset themselves and go from there. But right now, it looks pretty dim because there's so many bodies that are just wounded.
Yeah, and Steph's knees are going to be a season-long storyline. We can probably say Draymond's health will be a season-long storyline. Steph in his last 3, Suns, Nuggets, and Minnesota, 8 of 21, 8 of 23, 6 of 17, also inactive for 2 of those games. This has been a tough stretch for Steph and a tough stretch for the team. They did get a really nice win over Houston, the number 2 team in the West without Steph and Draymond. But as I look at the team, this is a crunchy part. I'm concerned about health. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right now, they are not on top of their game, and they can't be because they're not healthy.
Yeah. All right, check the injury report for Sunday. Thanks for joining us on Dubs Talk. We'll see you this weekend. Bree's asking who made this schedule. It was nice to see Dante here. He was in the Warriors locker room pregame, postgame, chopping up the guys. Yeah, he was really a favorite teammate of theirs.
Yeah,
and I
they
know
love
a fan
Dante,
favorite
and
as
Dante's
well.
a good dude.
Yeah. We didn't talk about TJD in this game. I think we need to do that for the next game.
He didn't play much. Yeah.
There's a question from Andaz here. I think he was asking, as the trade question comes up. Oh, here you go. Monte, does the rest of the league still look at Kuminga, Pods, and Moody as desirable pieces for a trade?
Depends on which team you're looking at. I mean, some teams do. Some teams are like, no, we like what we have. If you're a team like Minnesota, you're pretty much set. I think you like what you have. I mean, you got more time for Randall and Dante to kind of get in with the other guys. They may want to show up their bench, but if you're a team that's like, now the Lakers are probably looking for somebody. They're in trouble right now. They're looking around. The Clippers may get to that point. It's tough for them because of their salary cap situation. But after that, who else? Who else? San Antonio, I don't see them as it could be a possible partner if they want to get rid of one of their guys. But if you're Mike Dunleavy, your question you have to ask yourself is, okay, who can I get? Who can I get that would make us better in a trade that would be quote unquote equal? Help the other team too. He can't trade 3 guys for 1 because he still needs to have 3 men on the roster.
Well, you also can't trade. This is the thing with trades. Some fan bases start to feel like okay, we're going to trade these bench players for your superstar.
Yeah.
And no, I know. Oh, somebody told me ESPN was talking about whether LeBron James would end his career a Warrior.
That's
Whether
come up before.
that can still happen. No. No.
No.
No.
There are a bunch of reasons why it won't happen, so let's just say no.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to see them as Olympics teammates, Steph and LeBron. I think that's all we get. All right, that's all we get tonight for Dubs Talk. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks for joining us on YouTube, and we'll see you again soon.